I would like to start my presentation. Ja, viel los. Still. Okay, gentlemen, I would like to talk to you about Searchplus. At least I'd like to talk to you about the improvements which we have made, or I have made in the last year or so, since the last presentation of Warpstock. So basically this is an update on Searchplus. I know some of you use Searchplus. Could you tell me, who uses Searchplus here? Okay, so there's a lot of you that have never used it, don't know anything except the name. Okay, so I will tell you a little bit more than just the update. This program I wrote myself, I suppose started about two and a half years ago, basically because I was looking for a solution for finding files. That was basically the point. Now, you know there's PMSeek and so on.
Why not PMSeek?
Because there are things in PMSeek which, for me, do not do what I want. One of the things in PMSeek, you cannot use the not command as a string operator.
It has also another example, AC dataseek, which somebody programmer always knew.
Yeah.
This is also a little bit more comfortable than PMSeek.
Yeah. Well, there are various applications there. I couldn't find one that met exactly what I wanted to do, so I started to make this program. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. First of all, I'll tell you what Searchplus is. What is the search part of Searchplus? What is the plus part of Searchplus? Hopefully that's a lot. What has changed since the previous version? And I would like to give you a small demo, which hopefully today will work a little bit better than yesterday. Okay. And I like to get feedback from people. I like to hear from people that use the program or who don't use the program. What are your ideas? What don't you like? What do you like? And so on. But that'll be at the end. Okay, what is Searchplus? It's a shareware program to quickly locate and act on files found. It's in English, German, Dutch, French, Swedish, Italian, and even Chinese. There are no Chinese people here today, so I will not show you the Chinese version. It's difficult for me to find my way back to the English version afterwards. Okay, it's currently at version 1.7. You can purchase it from Mensis or directly from me today if you want for 20 euros. And this latest version can be downloaded from Hobbes. It will work at least for 31 days, so you can try it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you think, well, I like it up to a point and there are some things I would like changed, or you have good ideas, send me an email. I can think about it. Maybe other people also would like those changes and we can do something, but no guarantees. Okay, what does it do? First of all, we can search up to 4 different drives simultaneously. As far as I know, this is the only program that does this. We use parallel access. So for example, if you have 3 physical drives in your system and a CD-ROM drive, it can look at each drive at the same time, thus saving time. Of course, parallel access has no sense if you only have 1 physical drive and you have different partitions with different drive letters, because then it's swapping between the partitions on the same drive, and that is counterproductive. Yeah?
Except you have this SCSI. Then you have no.
Well, okay. But basically, different physical devices work at the best. So while he's looking at the network, for example, he can be looking at your hard disk and looking at a CD-ROM, looking at your USB stick. Yes?
Does the program know if partitions are on the same drive and is not useful?
No. No, it's a very valid question. I had thought of trying to program that in, but that was so much work. I think, well, you as the user can fairly easily define what it is, and most systems don't change often. So having an automatic system, I do an automatic setting, if you like, but it works slightly differently. But we come on to that when I do the demo, okay? One of the things it does do is you have multiple filtering. So for example, on one filter, you can say, I'm looking for a photo, for example, but I'm not sure if it's a JPEG, maybe it's a bitmap. It could also be a PNG file. So you can look for the same file at the same time with different extensions. So you don't have to do 3 passes, for example. You can also do source type filtering. You can say, well, it's either on a drive, a hard disk. This is similar to a lot of Seek programs, but you can also say it's only on the network drives. You can search for a string within a file. You can obviously set file dates. Simply you can say, is it a file I just wrote an hour ago and I'm not sure of the name? Because that often happens, you know.
Was it file date and time? What time stamp is it?
Last written. Well, it's in fact what you see if you do a dir command as the last update date.
It could be sometimes when I find a file, I know, oh, I last read it yesterday.
That's a problem. It doesn't do that, but maybe that's an option. But yeah, but okay, it's something to remember. I'll write it down. But basically, you can very simply find files that you've written recently or hour ago, a month ago, or between dates and times. You can say, well, I know it was a big file, a small file, or between certain sizes. So you can use that as additions. You can use file attributes. You can use the standard system, read-only, and so on. But you can say they have to be there, they don't have to be there, or they mustn't be there. So you have a little bit more option than only it has to have a file attribute. You can search on EAs and on EA names. This is all printed out on the CD or on the website. You can search for a string within a file. You can even search within zip archives. This was another of the reasons why I made this, because I couldn't find search programs that also search within a zip file. You know one.
Only file types as other archives, VPI or zoo or
no, I've limited to zip because that's the most common used. It might be possible to extend to other types of archives, but the point is those archives have to give certain information back to me so that I can, like with the zip, you can do a listing and you can then open certain files. If certain things are missing from the original, then it is very difficult for me to implement that.
Must use the external archives must be set up for command line to the archives and
yes.
use the commands of that to list.
Yes, exactly. Unless, of course, there's the source code somewhere of those archives that is free and I can get into. But
also share that.
Yeah. You can also search within a variable. Now, often what happens is you have a variable, you have, for example, I don't know if you know it, libc06 DLL. lib 0 DLL. And sometimes there are two different versions on your system. Yeah? How do you know which one is looked at first? You can select the path variable path, and you can select the file DLL06C, libc06.dll, and it will show you which one it finds first. It can even show you if there are more in the same path. Or you could use it completely differently. You say, I have a executable. You type in the executable name, and you use the variable path, and it will see if it is in the path somewhere. So any of the variables, you can just search for a particular file within that variable. So within path, dpath, libpath, help, you might want to see, is your help, a particular help file in your help file list. So you could move it or add it. There are some new file filter options. The main thing is I'm now using what we call the Bayer-Moore-Horsfall, real mouthful, algorithm. Now, this is a fantastic algorithm. If you're interested, go to the net, look it up, how it works. But the result is that it is very fast. The bigger the string, the faster it gets, which sounds a little bit strange. Normally you think a bigger string takes more time, but the bigger the string, the faster it gets. Also, because of the way it is implemented, it is extremely fast and uses very little CPU. Also, the WPS does not get loaded. I will show you a demo later using PMSeek, and I don't know if you've ever done this. Use PMSeek, for example, to look for a file, look for a string, and you notice while it's looking, you can't do anything. You can't even move PMSeek around because it's using so much CPU. This avoids that. You can search on a string within EAs as well. So maybe, I know that some people use EAs. You can use, for example, in one of the options in the parameters, in the properties, you can set an EA value. Most people don't know it's in there as a property. So you can give it a name so you can find it in another way, for example. Or you're just looking for an ID tag or something. You can look in all EAs, or you can do a specific EA. You select a specific EA and then the string. All of these filters are combinatorial, which means, it sounds very good in English, which means you can select this and that and that. All of the filters are working at the same time. So you can look for a string in a file, and you can look for a string in its EAs that also meets another string value. Yeah?
Is that a fuzzy search?
No.
And case sensitive?
Case sensitive or not, you can select. We also have logical operators, and or not, plus an escape character, supposing you really wanted to have the ampersand in your text. So, you need to escape it with the backslash, then ampersand, for example. Because it might otherwise think you mean and. The logical operators, generally, they have to be preceded by a space and followed by a space. That way, the system knows it is a logical operator. The only exception is the not operator. So if you say not this as a string, then you don't have to have a space at the beginning. Yeah, I said that before, followed by a space. If the logical operators are not separated by spaces, they're seen as part of your string. You can also have a maximum of 5 groups of expressions. Oh, I see there's something underneath there. Didn't see that one before. I've used the diamond as a space character. With spacing, when you're trying to show something, you can't really see there's a space or not a space. So, if you have, for example, this space and space that means this and that as a string. This and not that as a string. Not this or that. And it works in the same way as you're saying it. This and that and red and blue, or green but not white. It's just a way of showing it. Yeah. This exclamation mark is not a logical operator. It's part of the string. Yeah, because there's no space in front of it. This and that now is the ampersand as a part of this and that. Because you might have, instead of quoting it with text or with the commas, you can say it like this and that. Okay, once you've found a file, you can manipulate them. And this is the plus in Searchplus. Not only finding it, but doing something with them afterwards. You can open a file using its default association, double click on the file. If, for example, if it is a PDF file, Lucid would be opened. You can edit the file, assuming it is a file that you can edit. I mean, binary files, you get a bit of rubbish in the editor. You can open the properties for the file. You can open the containing folder. And of course, you can do that in the standard way, icon or details or tree view. The files that you find can be sorted on date, time, size, and file name. And they are in resizable columns. You can open a command line window. Maybe you want to do something. You can copy the file name you found to the clipboard. You can copy the complete path name to the clipboard. Sometimes it's just easy to do that. Go to the command line and do something.
Question to container.
Yes?
I can open the found amount of files in one container.
No. You can each file is opened in its containing container. So you open its parent. So that means if you select a lot of files, you get a lot of containers.
That would be a function to have them in one window where they have the full directory names and list of all.
Well, you have that.
And I can select some and delete them. Or
but you can do that without even opening it. But I will show you. So you can act on any file that you have selected or group of files. Delete. This is including trash can support. Move. So you can move files. This is really strange. Yeah, you can rename, you can copy, or you can even execute a command which you have written yourself, either as a simple command or as a batch command. Okay, a little bit about parallel access. It is efficient if you're using parallel access than if you're using serial access, as long as it's different physical devices. Yes, different threads. So when the drive lets refer to different physical devices, this is true. Bandwidth can be is not limited. For example, if you have a USB hub, because then there's a split. And we have a so-called browse function. It's a graphical browser which you can use in various parts of the program to do certain things. The demo is easier, so I think you can't even see it from the second row, let alone further away. Okay. It has been updated, which allows recursive deletion of directories and creation of directories, because sometimes you want a directory and you're not sure if the subdirectories you're typing in already exist. Program is now via Warpin installer. Previously it had its own. You get bubble text over a variable when you move the mouse, and you can see what is the contents of the variable. I will show that. You can now select different command shells. For example, if you want 4OS2, you can use that instead of the standard command shell when you ask for it. That's function. There are various suppression messages you can get if you're trying to open a file, for example, to look in a string. You have to open the file. Maybe that file is in use. Sometimes you can get a share violation. Now, sometimes it's handy just to say, don't do that. Don't show me constantly the errors. Huh? You can specify the default start drive if you want. That was related to the previous program. You had to have a launch. Now you don't need it when you double click on something. Also in the copy function, recursive creation of directories. You can add an optional delay. You have a single button start, which changes to stop as soon as you press start. So you can stop. But of course, when it reaches the end of the search, that goes back to search. Problem can sometimes be, you say, stop. But you press it just as the moment it switches back to search. And of course, it starts the search again. So there is now the possibility to have a delay. So you can see I'm stopping it or I'm starting it. A couple of progress options have been added. Specific files and directories can be ignored. You might want to ignore, for example, the cache. Yeah. You might want to ignore specific files. Say, I don't want to look in there. You might say, if I'm doing a text search, I'm looking for a string, I don't want to look at bitmaps. Or I don't want to look at JPEG files. I don't want, so you can give a list. You can also use in extended attributes, confine text searches to the extended attribute that has ASCII subtypes. I don't know if many people know about EAs. It's not one of the best known things, but each EA has a type. And that type can be ASCII or binary or a complex. And the complex then can have subrecords with ASCII and binary and ASCII and so on, a whole tree. But what this allows you to do is say, only look for text in the ASCII subtypes, because looking in the icon data of an EA is not very useful if you're looking for text, and it takes more time. You can exclude hidden directories or not. I will just demonstrate this. Entry fields highlighting. I had the problem that I couldn't always see where my cursor was. You've got a lot of fields in an entry box. Where is it? Move the mouse, you know? Yeah. So what I did is simply I highlight that entry box. Just use another background color. Okay, that's been added. Chinese language added. Environmental variables have been increased because there was a small problem there. It detects ISO and RAM disks. Various bug fixes. My programs don't have bugs, do they? They just don't work. No, but seriously, always finding things to improve. We added accelerator keys to all the items, so if you don't always like to use the mouse, and sometimes keyboard is quicker and more efficient, you can do that. Okay, now the best part, I think, the demo. Yes?
How was it programmed? Which
C.
language?
Yes.
What
Visual Age. I use C because I think it's the fastest, unless you want to go down to assembler. I don't. Now the demo should hopefully, because I have to use the other machine because of Beamer problems. Yes, okay, this is basically what it looks like. So, I need to move my mouse as well. Mouse. Ah, yes, it always takes a few seconds. Okay, this is then the basic screen. So what do you see? First of all, we have two skins. You can have the simple one if you don't want too much information on the screen. And here you have the basic information. Here you can see you select your file name or a variable. A variable you select by starting off with a percentage. So for example, if I type in a percentage, you see what variables you can use. And you can go down the list, or you can type in, for example, an L. Oh, I can't see what's happening here, so I have to keep looking back. Percentage L. And you see he finds the first one, the L, which is a standard within OS2. So for example, if I take libpath, and I will, there's the bubble text which shows you the complete contents of libpath if you want to know it. The same applies if you go down, you have to wait, the mouse has to be still, and you can so read all the various variables if you want to. But okay, we're going back here, and I said the lib, I'm never sure of the exact name, libc. Anyway, it's going to look for that in the libpath. Now, you see, it finds all the various versions of lib 5, 6, and so on. So you can see that these are all in this lib library path. What you see here is the date, the time, the size, and the file. Now, you can select the date, sort immediately. The sort has already been done. Make it a bit bigger. What you see, that's the only disadvantage now, isn't it? Okay, what you see here is you have the possibility also to look in zip files. You can select that or not. You can just look, oh sorry, I will make this a bit smaller, because otherwise this is always going to be a problem. So you can select zip files and no other files, but you always will have one, whatever. You must look in one type of files. Here you can reposition your fields, and what you see is that if this field is small, then it gives you it in kilobytes, bytes, and so on. But if you really want to know when the field is big enough, it expands. So basically here you see we enter the file name we are looking for. If I type in, I just want to look for warp in. I have to, oh of course, no drive selected. Yeah, it can't find it if I don't select anything. So we just look at all hard drives. Start. Now he's looking, and you see the drives that where he's looking at this moment in time. This, because it is blue, is a zip file, and you see that this is the name of the zip file and this is the contents of the zip file. So what I do is I show the actual file as a sort of sub-file of a directory zip. He's still searching, of course, because we've got zip files on, he's having to open every zip file on the system. So that could take a little while. Certainly because this is not the fastest PC in the world. But if we just say, and you see switching between the two drives there. Now I tell you, on this machine that is the same physical drive, so it is not set up ideally. Yeah. Okay. So
for if I have two the same files,
yeah.
duplicates,
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4
Yes.
duplicates.
Yeah.
For me, comfortable to erase because I
Yeah.
can see time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes file name the same, but maybe another version.
I select the file and you get the pop-up menu and you can say what you want to do. And if I say delete, now this will go to the trash can because it's detected the trash can. Or if I used shift, which you normally use with delete, I can also use the delete key. And you now see it goes to the shredder. Yeah?
Can you make a list of it where you have a very large positions you go to search? Maybe it's 8 pages. Can you make a list, export a list of the files?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you have here export. Yeah, so you can export and you give then a file name. So you can get a list of all the files you found. You can select multiple files. And if, for example, I now double click, this will give a problem because Warpin is only allowed to work once or open at one time. Yeah? And that's why we get the error, because there is another Warpin from one of the other files I have tried to open. So here we have to say cancel, cancel, cancel. You see, you gave another instance is open. Warpin only allows you to do it as one time by itself and then the next time. But of course, if I had said, for example, I want to, what shall we do? Properties then. Now, so I've got the properties. Yeah, so you see I've got the properties of each of those files automatically opened. So it works with everything. This is the difficulty of not having a screen in front of me, so I have to look here. You could say, okay, I want to copy the files. Now what you then get is the option to copy them one after each other. So I will do it, for example, to a directory which I know is rubbish afterwards. Yeah. And you see, he starts to copy that file now. You see, this file has extended attributes, because you see there is an extended attributes box here. If it didn't, that's missing, but you know it has extended attributes. And this is really slow because it's on the same disk. So it does that one, then I can do the next one. And you see, I still have 2 files to do. So I can say, I'll do all of them now. Yeah? And that works with move, rename, and so on. Let's think, what do we do next? I chose big files. That's not a good idea for a demo. Okay. If I do this search again, for example, as soon as I can now start Warpin, and it's still searching in the background. I don't have to wait until he's finished. But then I can only select one file at a time, because the files could, what I'm starting to select could be intermixed and you lose yourself. We're still running in the background. I will stop. You might say, well, I just want to, let's do that. Look on drive H. So you can type it in and then look just on drive H. You could also say drive H and E. So you can type it in if you want. Yeah? That's the possibility. What you also notice is whatever you type in, it goes in memory and you maintain the last 16 searches. Okay. Yes, in an ini file, yeah. And the same applies to your searches. They're also there. You see, by default, it's not going to search on any text. If you use the right-hand mouse button, you can see ignore case, or you can copy stuff out of the yeah. You have all those sort of normal tricks. Okay, you can start if you want to select the date written before. This is the simple version, so you can say, what shall I look for? I'll look for a big file. We haven't got to those size files yet, thank God. But that doesn't make any difference. The other view, you then can see the various devices. I'm now looking where my stick is. I thought I might have you got a stick? Has anybody got a stick? Stick. I can't see where I put my... Oh, I found mine. Okay, no problem. Just couldn't find them. Now this is ECS 1.2. Sorry?
I thought you were looking for a laser.
No. Now this is ACS 1.2, which means that he doesn't automatically do detection of sticks, right? You know that, huh? And
Detection also with the driver.
yeah, in 2.0 and the betas, automatically it comes up, the stick is found. Now, yeah, so if I say refresh, now, with a bit of luck, depending on how I put my settings, it will, first of all, it finds the stick. We're waiting for that. But not yet. Why aren't we finding my stick?
But we have another interesting question.
Okay.
What is how to find text? Yeah, text in files.
Yeah, simply you just fill them in. You fill it in here. Here you type it. Yeah.
Until now you don't.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't shown that yet. So you say, okay, in the files, in APP files, I'm looking for hello.
But it's normal text search, yes?
So normal text search.
But this can do.
Yes.
And your
If I
USB
have,
drives
if
it.
Oh, thank you.
I have in Word file, for example, although, and there's H, hex null, A,
Okay,
hex
yeah.
null,
Okay.
hex
Yes,
null,
it is a pure text search, because otherwise you have to you would have to detect what type of file it is and use a conversion file for that. Yeah. But I don't do that because I think that goes a step too far from something you want to quickly find files. So that's the basic behind it.
Can I type in special characters?
Yes.
Text characters? Or something?
You can always type in hex characters.
With escape. The escape.
No, you use your Alt key and the numeric keyboard.
Okay.
What you now see is D has arrived. Yeah? And I just use and that is USB. So what he does is also he checks every couple of seconds, depending on how you set the setup. He checks every couple of seconds, is there a new drive or something? Or does it disappear?
Yeah, the drive disappears. The power files also disappear.
What was the question again?
If this drive disappears, or it's network drive, does the found files also disappear?
No, what is found, he still knows they were there. Yes, but he will give you an error if you try to do anything with it. I will do an eject for that. Does anybody use the eject command? You know you have to count to 10 afterwards, because if you watch the little lamp on your, while it's flashing the buffers, he says he's ready, but he's not. And if you pull out too quickly next time, you have a problem. Okay, eject. Yes. I've locked him. I've locked him. So I can only, yes. Oh yeah, focus, sorry, yeah. That's not easy doing this. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Now, we'll go back to Searchplus. And it's gone, yes. But it also works if I put a CD in. You see the drive S is there. Physically there's a drive, but there's no CD in it. Anybody got a CD around somewhere? No? Okay. But believe me then, I put a CD in, close it up. Oh yes. It's just for the demo. I put the CD in, and he will start to spin up. When he is ready, the program will automatically detect that, and with a bit of luck, we should see the S change so that I can select it. Could be that I have not. I've got a very long options. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have to have the automatic media check on. Yeah. Thank you. Did I save it or not? No, I'm not sure what I did. Settings, files, automated flow drives.
That's a presentation.
I don't know if he can read this. I don't know. But believe me.
It could be the CD.
Yeah. Was this a valuable CD?
One of a kind.
One of a kind. No, but basically he detects that something comes online. The same applies if you get a network connection that comes back up. Okay, what more can I show you? Okay, here you can also use your logical operators. So you can say, all that I have to show you. Yes? And what I will do, have I got it here? Okay, what I will do is look for a big file. And the reason I'm using a big file, it takes longer and I can show you it. So I'm looking in ISO files, yeah?
Can you recognize file names in ISO images?
No, it does not break it down. Unlike zip, yeah. But, okay, so if I say I'm looking in an ISO file and I'm going to look for this and that. This and that, yeah. So it's a bit of an English accent, this and that. But I say search. Now look here at the CPU. And you see what the CPU load is? Up or down? Oh, you mean the complete screen, I think. But what you see is, okay, so now I will show you that. I will do this again. And this, you see the percentage is mainly when I'm moving. And we'll wait when it gets, I think, there is a directory called ESOs. Oh, he's already found it, okay. Now, we'll do the same with pmseek. I will stop this first, otherwise. I say shell. And we say pmseek. Yes. H star.iso. Yeah. Now I've got to type the same out, but this. Okay, now I will first move this a little bit up so you can see the CPU. Oh, I think, no, the problem is it's finding it now too quick. No, this is the demo effect, isn't it? Let's do, because I don't want it to find it too quickly, you see. And I want you to see the CPU loading here. Oh, you see, is it? Yeah. This is where the ISO is. I know this is RC3CD1. They set the ISOs in. So he's looking in the ISOs. You can see it a little bit here. So I will now stop it. Try and do the same with probably about the same. Yeah, I can move it. Can't move it. No, it's not the message queue. No. What happens, there's two things happening. First of all, the CPU is loaded, but the APS is being loaded somehow. So, no, you can't do anything. And in the worst possible case, you see what's happening. And this is the Bayer Moore Horsball algorithm in my program, which makes the difference. Sorry? This is a single core CPU. My program supports multi-cores and everything, but yeah. But I mean, we've all seen this with certain programs. Sometimes it just blocks the system because it's loading up, not necessarily the CPU, because sometimes the CPU is fairly low, but it's blocking the WPS.
If you have a low CPU load, it also could mean that the program is just waiting for the disk. So if you really want to compare those.
Well, it's the same disk I'm looking at.
CPU load is also low when disk is low.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you
this will vary on different systems. Yeah.
Yeah. You could also compare it using a disk monitor. If, for instance, your own program has a higher throughput,
Yeah.
you have it,
Yeah.
and the low CPU use.
I heard something now, or I can probably stop it.
Yeah,
Probably.
That's really a problem.
I can maybe use the. I'm not sure if this gives a track. I got the top. Where is he? No, he's not. He's not on top. I don't see him anymore. Oh, I don't see him. Maybe he's already gone now. Yeah. Because I put the cancel in and he's got so far. Okay.
You also lost the focus about you put in cap handle.
Yeah.
And then you lost the focus. That's the reason why you got
Okay. If you select EAs, you get a list of standard EAs. Those are the dot ones, and a lot of normal ones. But you can add to this list if you want. Once you select an EA, you can then either search, for example, on all files have an EA with subject. Now, if I remember correctly, there are none. So that will not find anything. I should have used a different one. Icon is, of course, fairly common. But then I'm thinking on, or a switch off zip files because it gets otherwise slow. Yeah, make sure I'm using no text. But maybe I'm using the wrong drive. Well, there are two. Yeah, maybe that will find it. Demo affecting it. I will stop. But anyway, you can select various EAs and you can look in. If you fill in here then a text, it will also find the text in the EA.
Another question. Are there command line options we can use the program to integrate it in file managers, for example, for the search function in file managers?
Not directly. It is.
FC, I have FC, for example,
Yeah.
and type file F7.
Yeah.
Searchplus.
You could then, yeah, there's always possibly a form of integration. But let me show you, well, of course you have languages and you can switch all language on and off. Let's have a look at the settings. One of the things was the parallel access. If you have parallel access, first of all, it'll let you see what drives are available. Drive C, he says, is not available. That is in fact Windows. Not available. Beautiful, eh? But that's just because it is on the NTFS and I haven't got the NTFS driver in here, so the system can't access that. That's what it's saying. Then all the other drives are the drive letters I have in use, and of course my CD-ROM. I say which default drive when I start the program I want to use, because that's where I have my data in my case. Drive H, I have my data. So normally I'm looking for files on my data disk. What you see here is virtual adapters. I said you can have 4 parallel accessing. Each adapter is just one thread. So you have 4 threads that could be running. And you can say, if you don't, you can either use auto settings and then he assumes certain things. But if not, you can say, well, sometimes I have a stick on drive D, for example. You saw I got a stick on drive D. I can put that then on virtual adapter 3. If the stick has a name, and that works better on ECS 2.0, you can select that particular position. As soon as you select another one, of course, it moves. You can say, okay, I have sometimes, I will put, drive M is sometimes a network drive letter. I will put that on that virtual adapter. And this way you plan how you would have the parallel access working. Files, you can say where the temp directory is, what editor you're using, zip where it is, and unzip. So here begins the possibility to put something else in, but it must have the same sort of syntax. Go further because we're running out of time. Here's the suppress warnings and errors. You can say how many records you want to find. You might want to limit that to 100, because if you start to find 10,000, you're not really finding anything, are you? It's too much. You can check floppy drives. And I've switched it off because this doesn't have a floppy drive. But if you have a floppy drive in your system, every time you access a floppy drive, it takes time. And then the system, so with startup of the program and everything, it takes time. The auto media check. I normally have that on and down to about 2 seconds. That's maybe why. The show selected. Okay, that is that when you come here, you get this coloring so you know immediately where you are. That's the selection. That also works, of course, in the settings. You can use the keyboard to immediately go to anything. So, for example, here you have Control Shift plus. So if I say Control Shift plus, for example, H, I think I've got Control Shift. Am I on H? I can't see anything. Oh, Control Shift. Yeah. Yes. Sorry?
You had lost focus.
Yeah, I've lost focus somehow.
Now you've got it.
Yeah, now I've got it back. Yeah, Control Shift N. And I underline it to try and highlight it a little bit, make it easier to find what you've done. Okay. Miscellaneous, we've seen that. And here you can select share violation messages, don't look in hidden directories and so on, the other options I told you about. Yeah. What more can we tell you? Okay, you can switch off columns if you want, add them back in, move around. Let's see if I've got something with. No, I'll type in something else. A README. I would just look for README and zip files. Oh, yes, but I have to switch off my EAs because otherwise it's looking for that as well. Yeah. Sorry? For README? No, you have to add the wildcard. You can also put wildcards in between. Yes. Yes. Question mark and so on. So, okay, stop. It's directly, and I can change it. I won't. You'll notice the path is a temp path because I've unpacked it somewhere else, and I will put it back again afterwards. Sorry? When I unzip something, I have to unzip the file somewhere.
Zip is clear, but normal file?
No, this is for zip. Yeah? So I can change this, and if I, for example, yeah, so I will try and do that. T, and I take it away again, because then I can say file save. Huh? Oh yeah, but you won't see it. I will do it like that. Say file, save, close it. You see the T is in there. Take it away. Otherwise I save. And that's back in the zip package. So you can edit directly in zip files if you want. There's your dates and times. You can put in everything you like. It checks for valid dates and times, so you can't put in the 29th of February in 2001, for example, but I won't show you. File size is minimum, maximum. Yeah. You can also include subdirectories or not, so maybe you just want to look for a certain part. Quickly show you the browse. Suppose you want to start somewhere you weren't quite sure of a name, so you say, okay, we start with drive H. I've got a lot of blah. I'm now looking for something which might have, oh yeah. So now I've selected that as a basic path, so I didn't have to type it in if I wanted to. So you have that option there. The same applies when you're copying. There's also that browse option available. But one of the nice things, if you know, you say, oh,